And good afternoon to you. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Maduro Show. Thank you for coming along and being here with me today. I see a lot of you guys in the chat are kind of talking about the whole lap thing that Mark Thompson just ended with. It's pretty funny about sitting on laps in Hollywood. Yes. I wanted to, though, start the show by talking about what is going on with the whole why is Tucker Carlson being shown the door? And last night, I watched, I think the interview is about 12 minutes long. I watched an interview with Abby Grossberg, and she used to be, I believe, a producer at ABC 7 in San Francisco, and eventually made her way to Fox. Okay. Where she expected, I guess, the atmosphere to be professional. I don't know why you would expect that considering what's on the air, but okay. Abby gave an interview, which I found fascinating. And she talked about what it's like to work at Fox. She talked about her friendship with Maria Bartolomo, I believe is the name, Bartiromo, and how they kind of had an eventual falling out over the election results and whether the election was stolen, etc. She ended up moving to Tucker Carlson's show, and she said it was a promotion that people reported to her. She goes on to say and to kind of describe the ways in which sexism played a role and how she was shunned because she would bring up things like where are you getting your research? I don't know if maybe if it's a good idea to have this person on the air without a woman on the air as well, or how this is going to appear. And I guess she called it a broville kind of atmosphere where the bros would laugh at her and eventually hold meetings without her. And she was a bit shunned, I guess you could say. And then comes what I really think is the bombshell, where she starts to talk about how when she listened back to the tapes that she has, and she said that, the tapes that I have, and she was talking about Maria Bartiromo, whatever it is. I know. I'm sorry I don't watch it. I don't know. She was talking about that and said she had tapes, which I guess you could extrapolate that she likely also has some type of tapes as to what happened. Bartiromo, my apologies, as to what happened on the Tucker Carlson show. So if she has tapes and Fox was trying to keep those tapes down, or the tapes are going to come out and they needed to get ahead of it by firing him, I can imagine exactly what went down and what happened there. She also talked a lot about her experience with Tucker Carlson, how she ended up being demoralized. She said she thought that it would be different off the air than it was on. And I heard that and I thought, why would you think that? Why would you feel like you're going to get any different of an experience than you're seeing on the air? I mean, a lot of people are the same on the air as they are off. Not that I'm a big personality, but I am. Mark is. Nikki is. We're who we are. So why would you expect then that Tucker Carlson would be any different off the air than he is on? And some people are. Some people put on a big show and they're a completely different personality when you meet them off the air. I've heard that said about Rush Limbaugh, who's no longer with us, that he was just the nicest person off the air. I don't know how you could expect that, though. I mean, you've heard the stories about working at Fox News. Women have come forward to say it was an atmosphere rife with sexism. So I don't know why she would believe then that it was any different. But here's something I think she did that was really smart. Instead of going to HR, which apparently she'd been to before to no avail, she used the moment that she sat down with Fox lawyers for a deposition on the Dominion voting case to put it on the record that there was sexism, misogyny, and racism, anti-Semitism going on the Tucker Carlson show. And she said, "I wanted to get it on the record with the Fox attorneys that this was happening." And so once she starts talking to the Fox attorneys about this, maybe then they start thinking, okay, she's documented it with us. She has tapes. This is not what we were expecting when we deposed her for this other case. But uh-oh. And so there you have the timing of the two things, because it seemed really suspicious that you had the Dominion voting case settlement coming, just days ahead of the Tucker Carlson canning. But now I think we are starting to understand why, that all these things happened in the same orbit. And so she was pretty smart to say, okay, I've got a room full of Fox lawyers. Let me talk to you and tell you what I'm thinking. Right. Oh, and by the way, I have tapes. Oh, and by the way, this could be big trouble for Fox. Guys better watch it. Guys better watch it. So I don't know if you have anything to say about this. You know what I wanted to do today? I'm going to do it now. And I got a couple emails yesterday from people that really enjoy the conversation and thought that the responding to the chat messages was a lot like the old KGO radio, where you were really responding to calls and really having a conversation with people. And that's kind of my whole point, right? I love doing that. So I'm taking a chance and doing it again. And last time I didn't have much response, but I hope I do this time. Here's the link to the show. So if you want to click it and call in and appear with me, kind of like a call in on a radio talk show, please do. But please keep it respectful and nice. I know you guys will. I know you are. But please keep it calm. And I'm happy to talk to you if you want to buzz in that way. And you don't have to be on camera. You can just use there's an option to block camera. And so it's just kind of a silhouette face. You can do that, or you can have the picture. I don't know, it's kind of hard to figure out how to do the picture, but you can just have the picture, or you can have the silhouette face, whatever. But if you want to call in, happy to have you calling in. And I'd love to hear what you think. And that's the link that I just posted right there. Taking a chance. There's no one to screen the calls like there was at Station X. So I'm trusting you guys to want to have this conversation and maybe want to have your voice involved in it as well. There's something missing, don't you think, from radio, when we could hear the voices of people kind of have their personalities shine through their words rather than me just reading your words? So we'll see if it works out. I don't know. But what do you think about Abby having possible tapes and bringing this whole thing up to the lawyers at Fox when she had them all in the same room to say, hey, this is what's going on? Yeah, I think it's interesting. Kind of smart in a way. Smart in that way. Maybe not so smart by assuming or having even the hope that when you walk into a place that you're going to have a professional atmosphere when what's being put forth on the air is not that. But I think maybe, and I can't put words in her mouth, but the possibility exists that she was a person who cared more about the money than the product. Because I don't know how you go from working at ABC7 in San Francisco, which I consider to be a very reputable news organization, to a place like Fox, which is obviously based on things that are not true. The product they put out on the air is divisive and ugly. How you would think that the atmosphere then would be any different than ugly. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, Wes says good for Abby covering her rear end. That's exactly right. Chris says trying to get a burner phone for call-ins. Maybe a burner laptop. I don't know. I hope not. Don't mess with me, Chris. Be kind and nice. I know you have it in you, right? John says Rush was most likely a closeted gay man, maybe bisexual, who hid it by going right wing. We'll never know. Never know. Yeah. I don't know. Nikki has a job at another radio station. She is off today, but will be back Thursday and Friday. So we'll get her tomorrow. We'll get her Friday. And that's going to be exciting. Again, we're trying to keep the show going. So I'll be filling in for her when she's training and doing that other job. Guys, it's expensive to live in the Bay Area on one salary. And it's just, we can ask you to contribute and donate all of those things, which are so appreciated. But when the time comes to pay the mortgage, sometimes you got to get the paying job. And thank you, West Theory, for the $5 super sticker. Much appreciated. Kicking it off with that. You can contribute. The super chat is live, as Wes just showed us. And of course, always, what we really appreciate as well is the Patreon donations. Also, PayPal link can be found at thenickymadoroshow.com. And while you're thinking of that, or while we're thinking of that, click the thumbs up button. I would really appreciate it if you do it. So nice to have your approval, your stamp of approval there with the like button. Oh, look at that. Beth Farmer, so kind, so nice. For $19.99, this is a pittance. Well, we do what we can do, right? You contribute what you can. Maybe that's nothing. Maybe that's $19.99. Maybe it's $4.99, whatever it is. We're grateful for that stamp of approval, which says, I like what you're doing. I want you to continue. I want other people to contribute as well so that you guys can continue. But yeah, I know you guys understand that there may be moments where one or both of us have to get another job that pays so that we can continue to do this on the side. Thank you, Nemen. I really appreciate it. I don't know, Jim. She's part-time fill-in. She's training right now, so we don't really have much of a guess on what that will be. I think it's kind of whenever needed. That's what we're looking at right now. And we're thinking about the ways the show might change that, you know, maybe not an everyday show, or maybe it goes to a 1 hour show, or maybe things have to change a little bit. I hope not too much. We want to be there for you. We want to keep the show rolling. So thank you, Raina, for hitting the like button. You see it there, the thumbs up button. Thank you for clicking it. John says, don't double click it. It'll duplicate your approval. No, it won't. One click and one click only, right? Yeah, you guys, nobody's talking about this Abby thing. You guys don't think it's as interesting as I do, I guess. I'm telling you, I think it's fascinating because I think we're going to see and hear those tapes. And I don't know if they're voicemails or if maybe she got video of what was going on at Fox. I think we're going to see and hear them. And I think that's why they had to let Tucker Carlson go. It's going to be fascinating when the S hits the fan in that department to see what was actually going on behind the scenes. I don't know if, even if we see that the Tucker Carlson, I'll call it a newsroom. I'm not even going to say newsroom. The Tucker Carlson studio atmosphere was so toxic that when the tapes are released, it would show him being so toxic that it would preclude him from being hired anywhere else. I don't necessarily think that's the case. Although, if you see someone really putting their network at risk by thinking they're so big time that they can treat people like this and there will be no fallback on the company, maybe that person becomes a liability and non-hireable. It's a possibility, just saying. Let's see what else you guys have to say here. Lori writes, read Rush's first book. Started out as just money, then eventually got to more believing his own BS. Rush's views were totally transactional. Had to read because a good friend loved him and was trying to understand. That's so awesome that you were trying to understand your friend. Rather than just saying, you're crazy, cray. You took the book up so that you could get some information and try to have a conversation with your friend about something that they enjoy. Yeah. Wes says, I think Tucker left because of what she has, maybe. Yes, Wes, that's what I'm saying. And she has it on tape. Has it on tape. Chris says Rush died with $400 million and didn't give any of it to his cause. I don't know how much money he had. I don't know. I heard he got fired for calling his boss a C word. I don't think that helped. I don't think it helped. but I'll bet you the tapes are good. Um, Jim writes, I think there are just meetings where common comments about how stupid the viewers are to believe anything that they would put on the air. Jim, though, if the messages came out that we heard or read with the talent at Fox discussing how they knew everything they were going on the air and saying were a giant pack of lies, and then they went on the air and said it anyway, if that didn't hurt their viewership, if people are still watching after that, if they're not feeling duped and leaving in droves, then comments, as you say, about how stupid the viewers are to believe anything they put on the air, they probably don't care either. I don't know. Mother Tucker, she could call her book. Yeah. Lori says it had to be something that caused financial liability for Fox. No way would they let him go unless he put them in some kind of legal jeopardy. Or those tapes are so embarrassing. And what she has is so humiliating for Fox that they had no other alternative but to say it was bad and we let him go. Yeah. So when the tapes come out, they can say, yes, we didn't know this was going on, but when it came to our attention, we took immediate matters to thank him for their service and show him straight to the door. Yeah. Trevor and Concord, sayonara, Tucker. That was my favorite from the day he was fired. Yeah. Sayonara, Tucker. Indeed. You guys are bashful. You don't want to come on the air with me. I don't know. President Biden is addressing concerns over his age. He is running for re-election in 2024. And speaking from the White House, Biden, who is 80, said Americans will see the presidential race play out and judge his performance for themselves. He says he feels good and he's excited about the prospects of a second term. And today, the White House spokeswoman came out and said, there was some question asked earlier in the week, I think yesterday or Monday, that would be earlier in the week, about whether the intent is for Biden to run and win in 2024 and then immediately step down and pass the presidency to Kamala Harris. And she says no. Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House spokesperson, said if President Biden wins in 2024, she should have said when, right? You always have to go into it with confidence. When he wins in 2024, his intent is to serve out his entire second term. So she's putting that rumor mill kind of to bed. Mm. The, of course, other story playing out in New York today is the civil rape case, which sounds weird to say that it's not a criminal case, it's a civil case, but it's playing out in New York today. And the former president is now being reprimanded by the judge in this New York City civil rape case. E. Jean Carroll is the one accusing Trump of raping her in a department store dressing room in 1996 and then defaming her when she came forward with those allegations. So what he said about her afterward, right, is what she's basically suing him for. On his social media platform, Truth Social, Trump called the case a hoax and a scam, prompting the judge to warn Trump's lawyers about any further posts. So they don't want him to go on Truth Social, on wherever, anywhere else, and say anything about this case. They're saying you need to be quiet. Shh. It's impossible for him to be quiet. Impossible for him to be quiet. So there's another Fox lawsuit. I don't know if you heard about this one. But Fox News is giving a voting technology company documents about its chairman, Rupert Murdoch. It is Smartmatic, in this case, suing the network for $2.7 billion for airing false claims during the 2020 presidential election. Fox's lawyer says the company would put forward the documents as soon as it can, agreeing that an agreement was reached at the court hearing in Manhattan. So now we've got Dominion settled for $787 billion and change, and in comes Smartmatic for $2.7 billion for airing false claims in 2020. I don't know if they have the same evidence. We'll see what they I mean, I guess one can assume that if they settled with one company over this, they'll settle with the next, or maybe they don't care. I don't know. I'm not sure. But it's interesting, and the lawsuits just keep on coming for that company. I don't feel sorry about it. Speaking about the age of people running for president, Robert writes Trump is 76. He's no spring chicken. No, he isn't. But you know what? Things that are a problem for other presidents or other people never seem to be a problem for Trump. It's kind of like water off the duck's back. He just keeps sliding through. Beth Farmer writes, I like him. I have confidence in his leadership. I assume you're talking about President Biden. But at 80 plus, anything can happen to him. The argument was made yesterday on this very show by somebody in the chat. I'm sorry, I don't remember you, but you said, whoever you may be, anything can happen to anybody, right? I mean, you could be in your 50s and walk out and get hit by a truck tomorrow, or you can be in your 40s and have a horrible case of cancer and pass away early, or you could be on your bicycle and fall. I had a colleague who had retired and was walking with his hands in his pockets, tripped and fell, and didn't brace the fall with the arms, and so broke his neck and is now paralyzed. In that, like that. Anything can happen at any moment to anybody. Now, is it more likely that when you're 80, in your 80s, you'll have health pitfalls? Happens to all of us as we get older, of course. It doesn't mean it'll happen to him. I know people in their 90s that are sharp as a tack, that are quick, that have not lost any mental acuity. Maybe they're physically slowing down a little bit, but their brains haven't at all. And then there are some that's the opposite. Their bodies are fine and their brains are gone. So who's to say? If the doctors are giving him a clean bill of health and they're doctors that look trustworthy, there was some argument about Trump's health and cover-ups as far as him getting out of going to into the military service by having flat feet or whatever it was, bone spurs. There was some indication that maybe that doctor was not on the up and up. But if you've got a doctor that's on the up and up, looks trustworthy, and says Joe Biden is healthy and ready to go, who am I to say otherwise? You don't know. Beth says, go Smartmatic. Yeah, indeed. Mindy writes, Trump is looking less and less like a spring chicken every day and more like a giant orange. Is Fox bad as a network, or is it just Fox News? Oh, that's an interesting question, because the national affiliate, the national network of Fox, quote, News, seems to be dishonest to me and nothing I would ever want to be a part of. But the Fox affiliates aren't all that way. Now, some of them I think are under direction to not do certain stories or to not say certain things. But Fox, Channel 2, KTVU here in the Bay Area, I don't hold in the same esteem as the Fox network, as a matter of fact. So I think that's true. I have my first caller. We're making history on the Nikki Maduro show. Are you guys ready? Okay, Jimbo, welcome aboard.
Hi.
Oh, the shadow figure. Hi, welcome to the Nikki Maduro show. What's on your mind?
Mostly just trying to figure out why people are stuck on age and not the actual intelligence part.
Mhm.
And the fact that Trump took a psychological test and could say man, woman, elephant, deer, whatever he said, that suddenly meant he was perfect. So why can't we make a standardized test? Maybe the test you take when you go in the military or the
Right.
SAT or something to say, this is how they performed on this test. And if they scored above average, that should be good enough, and drop it after that.
I agree. And drop it after that. I love that you said that. But I think that the minute you hit a certain age, the worry kicks in. Like, well, they're 80. Well, they're getting up there. And so there's a certain amount of, no matter what test you take, people are always going to be worried and always going to be wondering. But I agree with a certain test, and it's interesting because I don't know if the same test that was given to Trump is given to, other candidates, or how Biden was assessed. Again, yeah, I think you have to trust the doctor and move on. But I wonder if you think that if that's always going to be the worry, that there's just it's ageism, and it's no matter what the tests show, there's always just going to be that concern no matter what we do.
Well, then I would like to point out that Trump's health is much worse than the average person. Between being obese and probably having heart problems, and he sweats a lot, which means that he might fall over and faint more likely than Joe Biden or other people his age.
Can't argue with that. Have you seen Joe Biden running up the steps to the plane? There's that one where they show him tripping. Come on, everybody does makes mistakes like that. But I saw him during the last campaign. He would be, and I would be winded,
Mhm,
Jimbo, running out. I would be winded running from way, the stage right, all
mhm,
the way across the stage, down a long platform, and then he stands at a microphone and speaks like he's not winded at all.
right,
We've seen him at the White House taking walks with his wife. He's active. He's out there, walking around, exercising. He's not an 80-year-old man in a rocking chair.
right.
He's running up the stairs of Air Force One. He's running onto stages. He's speaking without getting winded. Do we all have moments of a kind of as they say, a brain fart, of a mental moment? Yes. But that doesn't mean he's not sharp, that he's not a good thinker, and that, as you say, he's not in excellent physical shape. I'm so excited you called in to the show. You are history making, Jimbo.
Thank you.
That is so cool. Thank you. I put the link in there. Thank you for coming on. I put the link in there. So if you do want to weigh in with your voice, again, like Jimbo, you don't have to show your picture. It's all right. And I appreciate you coming on and talking with me. That was super fun. Jimbo, you're awesome. Thank you for calling. Uh, yes, like the giant orange we saw. Thank you, Mindy, for that comment. John Smith talks about another lawsuit. Girl reemerges in light of defamation lawsuit. I'll have to look a little bit more into that. I don't know the particulars of that case. So, yeah, Huge in Japan writes, when we're giving the list of all the things that could befall you, you could be an 18-month-old baby shot on the side of 580. Truth. Outrageous. How we think that's somehow acceptable, and how we're not calling for gun reform, that you can't even drive down the freeway in the East Bay with your kids in the car and feel safe? Come on. Multiple children. You had little Jasper, who was 2. You have the 5-year-old girl recently. I think there was an 8-year-old boy. And now you have this 18-month-old baby. As a mother, I am outraged. I am outraged and horrified that this is acceptable to us as a society. I mean, that's all I can do, throw my hands up in the air. You can't fix gun regulations because no one will have the fixes, right? No one will accept the fixes. So what do we do? Just having kids get shot on the freeway? Mm. Vilma writes, the United States has had a president who is wheelchair bound, and we have had a president that was suffering from Alzheimer's, namely Reagan. I think if we knew he had that, though, they kept that a secret. If we had known that Reagan was suffering from memory loss, do you think he would have been elected to a second term? I don't think so. If Biden keels over, we have a vice president in a line of succession. Yes. I think the question was asked, though, does he intend to just turn around and step down once he wins? And the answer was no from the White House. He will serve the second term. He intends to do it. Yeah. And you talk about having presidents who were wheelchair bound and sickly, and so somehow we managed to still come out the other side of their presidencies, right? Somehow he still managed to get it done. Although I think they hid the wheelchair because they didn't want it to be seen as a sign of weakness. Chris writes, Trump had his chance and wasted it. The Democrats steamrolled him. I think he steamrolled himself with the whole January 16th thing and everything illegal that happened there. I think America got fed up. I don't think it was the Democrats. I think it was most of us. Flo writing, Fox has a long line of good TV shows. It's the news network that's problematic. What TV shows do you like? Like what was it? What's on there? It's not American Idol that's on there, is it? I don't know. I forget. I just don't find myself gravitating to it. Yeah, Flo, first phone call, Jimbo, making history. I think that was awesome. Lori writes, I really like a lot of Fox entertainment shows. Many take a very liberal bent with gay and trans characters, etc. Okay, cool. Mindy writes, take a damn test to be president, and agreeing with Jimbo on the whole situation. Yeah. And I don't think he's wrong. Maybe everybody should have to take a test, no matter what your age is. Make sure. Make sure you're with it. I would like to think that doctors do that though. That maybe we're just not always privy to every single test that was taken. You know, we don't get the blood test results, so we don't get the mental acuity test results. It's just all those things are done, and all those things are dealt with by the doctor, who then says, "Yep, stamp of approval, good health, you're all right." Second phone call, love it. Let's welcome to the show, James.
Hi
James,
there. I'm hearing
you have to turn. Yeah, you have to turn it down. You've got your volume up.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So how are you today? You look like you've got a lot of. Oh, you can't hear me? I don't know how to get your sound down.
You've got your volume up. Oh, I see.
Yeah, I can hear I can hear the echo. It's I don't know if it's going to work. I'm sorry. I think you might have to reconnect or plug into headphones or something else. But your house looked cool and all your guitars looked cool, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say, so please dial back in. Love it. Again, you'll find the link I posted at the beginning of the show. I'm so excited. I love trying new things. You never know what's going to work out or not. You really don't. Like, this could be, I will go down in flames. Or this could be something that really works out. And I look at it as a way to further the conversation and to really get to know you and talk to you about stuff. And I love that. So call. Mindy says, yeah, that's what a vice president is for. No worries. No worries at all. Another comment. I don't know, says Flo. I've always seen an orange Teletubby. I guess you're talking about Trump. Yeah, I think we saw that one. Thank you so much. Thank you for the $9.99, Gary D. Much appreciated. Thank you for that. Again, the show is crowdfunded, so we're relying on you, and we appreciate your help. You know, you might think, oh, it's $2, it's too little, or $5 is too. Whatever it is, it says, I appreciate what you guys are doing. I love being here with you and hanging out with you for a couple hours every day, and I want you to keep doing it. So thank you. Yeah. Fox is full of commentary and very little news. That's right. I think they try to have some news, but once you start spewing the lies everywhere else, I don't really believe anything. Randy, hi Randy, he writes, it's not ageism. To be concerned about Biden or Trump's ages, Biden is old, Trump is almost as old. But does that mean, I mean, yes, they're old, Randy, and you should call me. But when you get old, are you automatically just tossed out to pasture? Is that what we all have to look forward to? Does it mean, maybe at 80 years old, he's the best candidate? Maybe he's still thinking fast. And as Jimbo noted, he's in excellent physical health, talking about President Biden. So it's possible that it is a case of ageism. If you're just looking at the age and going, oh, it's time to be concerned. Oh, it's time to have an issue. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying it's not, one size fits all. It's not always the case that you're going to have a president who's old and so therefore incapacitated or physically debilitated or whatever it may be. You could have an 80-year-old guy who's healthier than a 60-year-old guy or gal. You don't know. But I hear what you're saying. Marilyn says, so great you can now take calls. So exciting. Hope the show will now have call-ins. I hope so too. Jimbo made history. James tried to, but had a bit of a technical issue. That's okay. You know, that's going to happen from time to time. And I'm absolutely okay with playing around. Call back in. We'll get it together. We'll get it up and running. You guys will figure it all out. Trump had a teleprompter for that memory test. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. Mindy, Biden walks every day with his wife. She keeps him in good shape. Probably healthier than me. I don't go out there for like a mile-long walk every day. Leon says, I'll call sometime. I'm dashing to work and intently listening. Thank you for taking us along with you as you go on your travels. I appreciate that. Kind of like the radio days of old, right? You can hear us on the podcast, by the way. You can download a podcast, Yesterday's, or you can take us on YouTube and just kind of, listen to the sound. We'll be with you. People loving Jimbo calling in. So cool. How many Whoppers has Trump had, and how has he not had a massive coronary? Whoppers? Is that the Burger King burger? A Whopper? I think it is. When you say Whoppers, I think of the malted milk balls and not I don't know. Biden is very fit, writes Cheryl. I think his speaking impediment is what some people think show a so-called decline. I think that's true. He has a stutter. He'll be the first one to admit it, that he has a bit of a stutter. It's hard for him. Harder for him. Tranquil says, yeah, waited to be the first, Jimbo. Good call. All that Diet Coke fried Trump's brain, writes Chris. Collins should be a regular segment of the show. I'm glad you like it. So the problem with it is I really have to rely on trust because there's no one to screen the calls. So it could be Troll City, in which case, or it could be wonderful discussions like the call from Jimbo and James. I wish I had been able to hear without the echo. So hopefully we'll fix it up and get it done. I'm fascinated by the guitars though, James. I want to ask you more about that. Lori says Trump's too old. Not saying older people can't be very sharp and in good shape, just saying sometimes maybe shouldn't. I'm getting up there. I don't like admitting this, but be real. But maybe you're one of those people getting up there that, I can tell, Lori, you got the brain. You're still, however old you may be, you got it. You're sharp, you're quick, well written, I assume well spoken. So, maybe you're physically, can't run a mile or 5 miles or whatever it is, or maybe, you're slowing down a little in that department, but that doesn't mean that you can't make great decisions for the country. Randy writes, we're calling for gun reform, but nothing significant will get done until the Second Amendment is either changed or repealed. And Randy, I just don't ever see that happening. And so we're stuck with what? The possible banning of assault rifles? That's something. I'll take it. Maybe a little strengthening of background checks. Maybe some more red flag laws where everyone knows about them and employs them. We're still going to see some mass shootings, but maybe we can cut down on it. Maybe we can save some lives. Because I don't think that we're ever going to get rid of or change the Second Amendment. I would say, how bad does it have to get for that to happen? And if after Sandy Hook, when a classroom full of 6-year-olds, little first graders, if that didn't do anything, nothing else is going to do anything. How young do the kids have to be? Right? You can tell my mom heart breaks. Yeah. We're talking about the shootings on the freeway in this portion of the chat room. Totally horrified. Is it gangs? In the most recent case, I think it seemed to be that. Yes. Beth writes, I hate driving on 80 or 880 at night. It's scary. Yeah. Chris says people who shoot from cars are going to turn in their guns. No, they're not going to turn in their guns. They're not. But what good would it do for someone who's not shooting at a car to have a gun in that case? Shoot back? So what? Then they kill the kid in your car and you kill the kid in theirs? Well, that's great. Linda writes, I'm not shocked that Tucker is a creep in the office. He sure is one on the air. Linda, totally my point. Why Abby would have expected something different off the air. Huge in Japan. I just avoid the East Bay as much as possible. The people using guns in this manner aren't the ones who would purchase them legally. That is true. But I don't think a lot of people can avoid driving on the freeway in the East Bay. Say you live in the North Bay, like I do, and you want to drive to Disneyland. Got to drive right through the East Bay. Say I want to go visit a friend in, pick a city, Livermore. Got to drive right through the East Bay. I think it's less about avoiding these places and more about making them safe. And how do we do that? I mean, there should be a expectation that when you drive on the freeway, the bullets aren't going to fly, right? Nevin wants me to put the call link in regularly. Okay. Randy writes, yeah, being wheelchair bound had nothing to do with mental capacity to be president, as we saw. Marilyn says 13-year-old in the Trump rape could have happened at Epstein's home in Florida, maybe. Yeah, too much conjecture on that. I don't know enough about that case, so I don't want to comment on it because I don't know, but I'll make you guys a deal. I'll look it up, and the next time I'm filling in, we'll talk about it after I do a little bit more research on that, and I'm sorry I'm not up to par on what's going on with that. Lori says, of course, anything can happen to anyone at any time. Cancer, accidents, other disease process more likely with age. Yes, Biden has had a good long career. Why not be a respected advisor? Yes, if there was someone that could. So there's something to being the incumbent, right? It's often that being the incumbent gives you a leg up on the competition. And in this case, I mean, I'm sure that a Republican could find something wrong. But in this case, the country's, I think, on a pretty good track. It's done a pretty good job. Gotten a lot of things done. So if you've got a situation where someone is in office, has that leg up of the incumbency, and is the one that can win the election, then, and there's no one else coming up behind him that can offer the same, then is it your responsibility to take on that mantle then instead of being the respected advisor? Or do you just check out and say, you know what? I'm the respected advisor. Figure it out yourself, and whoever wins, I'm on board. I think to the Democratic Party and the people of America looking at a 2024 Trump run, I don't think he has a choice. I really don't. What happened on January 16th? Watch the tapes. How about that? Yeah. Trump did himself in. He's a waste. Randy, if the Dems had a viable candidate instead of Biden, there would be no support for Biden to run again. That's sticky, though. How do you tell someone? I mean, that would be up to him. You don't. Fox had The Simpsons, which predicted Trump's presidency. Yeah, that was weird, huh? Vilma, everyone forgets that Trump started an insurrection on January 16th. Yes, I don't think we've forgotten that. Have we forgotten that? Let's remind everyone. He whipped up the fury and whipped up his supporters to the point that they went in and tried to disrupt American democracy and nearly broke the country. He will likely pardon everyone that's in jail today. He also wants to change the FBI, the CIA, and the IRS. All true, Velma. Lori says many of those presidencies is the problems that were happening behind the scenes. Do we like a shadow government where people cover? That's what we had with Reagan, right? When he had Alzheimer's and people were trying to keep that hidden. Oh. Jim Liu says test equals pass the same test to be a U.S. citizen, which a lot of people can't do. Trump isn't streetwise, writes Chris. Everyone puts one over on him. I see you, James. Let's try it again. James, welcome to the Nikki Maduro Show.
Okay, I'm still getting I hear an echo.
I don't hear an echo. So if you can ignore it, I think we're good on our end. So it
Yeah.
sounds fine. Hi, look at all your guitars you have.
Oh yeah, I thought that was required. I'm so
It
sorry.
is.
Yeah.
It is required. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you too. Thank you so much for calling the Nikki Maduro Show. So what's on your mind?
Okay, I apologize. I won't be able to talk long
That's
because
okay.
I'm hearing like
Echoes
the
and yeah.
like a minute delay. It's a long delay.
Okay.
I'm doing great.
So
Yeah, I
what do you
can't follow the conversation. All I
no
wanted to say is I'm 100% on board. I'm so glad you're trying out this call-in feature.
okay.
I'm sure it'll be buggy at first,
Yeah.
but I really hope you stick with it. I will give it a try again. I don't think I'll do it today, but I'll try to figure out on my end why it's creating such a long delay. But anyway, I just want to say good call on implementing this.
Awesome.
And as for trolls and whatnot, you just hang up on them. I don't know
Yeah.
if you know Art Bell,
Oh yeah. No,
extremely
well,
successful broadcaster.
yeah.
He did his show all by himself. He managed all the call-ins, everything. And occasionally you get a crackpot, but you just cut them off.
Yeah. Mindy says, who is this? This is James. James is a viewer and listener and the second person ever to call into
Yay!
the Nikki Maduro Show. So yes, it's Jimbo and James. I feel like, I worked at KGO for a really long time and I've had my share of people calling in who, swore or were nasty and who had to be dumped. So I guess it isn't that, but it's about offending the viewers and the audience, and it's not something that I want to do. And sometimes on a live show like this, you have no control over who's popping in, and there's no one to screen it and make sure that what's coming on is something that people want to hear or adds value to the conversation. But I appreciate that, and if this is the way we have to do it, this is the way we have to do it. I'm excited by the possibility and the fun that we could have getting to know each other and really talking, because I could read the chat that you write, but it's totally different than hearing your voice, even if wasn't seeing your picture. But even seeing your picture, it kind of adds to me, a whole new layer. So yeah, no,
All
thank you
right.
for calling in. I super
Sure.
appreciate you very much.
All right.
Yeah. Do you have anything to say about Trump or anything like that, or the whole Abby Tapes thing?
I would love to, but I'm hearing this.
Oh
It's
yeah.
impossible to follow. I really
All right.
apologize. But anyway, I'm so glad to see you're doing this.
Yeah, James, thank you for calling. I
All right.
appreciate it. Bye. So that was James. That's the second caller. Hopefully it gives you guys a little bit of confidence to call in. And again, you can be like Jimbo and just use the shadowy figure, or you can be like James and say yeah and configure the video and go for it. I think it has to do, James, if you're listening still, about what browser you're using, because we use a program called StreamYard to stream the shows, and it allows us to have guests on like you just saw, and it allows us easily to show pictures and videos, pardon me, and do other things. But StreamYard is really temperamental depending on what browser you use it with. So if like you're on an Apple browser but using Chrome, it might not like that. You might have to use a different browser, or maybe it could just be that you need to plug in your headphone jack instead. Who knows? Sometimes you just have to kind of tamper with it and see how it works the best. And unfortunately, we don't have time to test it out ahead of time on a call in like that. You just kind of have to go with it. And you know what? As we get rolling, technical glitches are always going to happen, right? Jim says you have to turn off the original YouTube and only use the stream audio. That is exactly right, Jim. And maybe that's what was happening. If you have the YouTube page up with the sound up, and you were trying to talk to me on StreamYard, you should only be able to hear me on StreamYard, not YouTube. So I'm betting that was the problem, that you do have to turn down the YouTube page. Thank you, Jem, for making that point. It screwed us up too, Nikki and Mark and I and everyone at the very beginning, when we thought we had to watch the show or look at the chat on YouTube, but we don't, because we can see all the chats right here from the StreamYard platform. So yeah, you do not have to have your YouTube up. As a matter of fact, as Jim writes, you have turn your YouTube sound down. You can keep the page up, but turn it down. And then if you're calling in, just use the StreamYard sound that you can hear. I hope that's helpful. Thanks, Jim, for saying, or yeah, Jim, for saying that. I appreciate it. Bob says headphones required. Shouldn't be though. I think Jim might have had the fix on that one. Yeah. Lori says there should be no problem at all with politicians taking a test. I took one, 3 hours. Lots more than the 5 words. Elected officials affect a lot of people, and they should be willing to prove their competency. Yes, it's true. And you make my point again, Lori, that while you claim to be getting up there, you always have such great comments and are so well spoken. So you make a great point. Trevor in Concord writes, I think Fox News and Fox Entertainment split off many years ago. Yeah, it's too bad they actually have the same name, right? Susan says Trump's doctor was probably paid off to approve his health record. That's why I said a doctor you trust. Gotta have one. Chris writing, the Republicans have the majority in Congress and they haven't gotten the J6 inmates released. Yeah, but what they're talking about, and I mean, I don't think that the Congress can offer a pardon. The president can offer a pardon or commute sentences or do other things. And so that's what they're talking about, Chris, is that if Trump was elected, God forbid, make the sign of the cross, garlic, bring the cross. If that happened, that he would get in there and the first thing we'd do was say, hey, you know, all those people that stood up for me on January 6th, my hair's all poofy in the front, on January 16th, all you guys out of jail, all you guys pardoned, all you guys don't worry about it. That would be a travesty. Second caller, this is great. Can't wait to hear what you're going to say. Hope you can fix that echo thing. Yeah, I think it's a case of having YouTube on at the same time as having StreamYard on. We should test it out, James. I bet that's what happened. Nick says 16th. She said 16th so many times. Is it January 6th? I'm sorry, you guys. Did I say 16th? Yeah, I think you're right. It's January 6th. I'm sorry. Yeah, January 6th. Thank you for the correction, which I can take and appreciate and say, my bad. I'm sorry. I got it wrong. January 6th. Yes. Maybe I'm the one that needs the test, right? Could be. I'm the one that needs to undergo the testing. Although I'm not in charge of anything and making decisions except for the show, so that's good. Mindy says, I'll take some age and wisdom over a green young thing any day of the week. Display the link often, Kim. Well, I put it in the top of the chat, and I don't know if I have access to that link again. So, yeah, I don't think I can just copy the URL at this point. But you'll find it right at the very beginning if you scroll back up to the top of the chat if you want to call in. I would love it. Love to meet you. Love to talk to you. When you become older, you become wiser. There is something to that experience. Thomas, thank you for asking. Nikki's at her second job, and she will be back with us tomorrow and Friday. She's going to be training at that job, and she's going to have some days where she's going to be off, but we're going to keep the show going. Hopefully. What do they say? God willing, and the sun don't rise, creek don't rise, something. There's another thing I forgot. The dumbest people in society, writes John Slade, are young folk between 14 and 25. They do stupid things. They need to be mature. Maybe we should test them. It's expected, though, that they'll do stupid things, right? My uncle says biabla, or blah, 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 blabia. I can't read it. My uncle recently passed at 98. I'm sorry. Although 98's nice long life. And he was sharp as a tack and quite strong into his mid-90s. Yeah, I had a great-grandfather who was sharp as a tack until he died at age, I want to say 94 or 95. So still he was an engineer that worked for Caltrans and built a lot of the freeways in Southern California, and was going to civic meetings and planning meetings and still involved in making decisions and being an advisor, as Lori had said earlier about older folks being an advisor, was driving all over the place. And then one day was doing some work on the garage, fell from a ladder and broke his hip. And that was it. But he was fine right up until that accident. And so, yeah, there's some people who completely okay. And I don't necessarily think they should be just tossed out with everyone else who can't remember stuff. Flo, $9.99 from Flo. Thank you very much for the contribution to the show. Hooray for the new phone call tech on the show to further the great conversation. Big up. I'm glad you guys like it. I'm excited about it. I'm so excited to meet James and Jimbo today. So I would love for you guys to scroll back up, grab that link, and call on in. I would say 8080, you can fill in the blank, but it's not. It's just the link. Just click it. And by the way, there's a different link every day. So whatever link I post on that particular day is the link for the show. It changes every day. So don't save it. It's not going to work the second day. Nikki's where the money is. Yeah, and I don't blame her one bit, right? I mean, we got to do what we got to do. It's the Bay Area living. Mindy says, get out your tennis shoes and get walking. All right, Mindy. I'll do that. I'll walk today. That's a deal. I think a lot of us intend to do things and then we just never kind of get around to it. Life gets in the way. Yeah, make it important, right? Randy says, yes. Trump was a McDonald's man. I think he is, and a Diet Coke man, too. Trump is a Mickey D lover. This is true. Likes his Big Mac, yes. When you said Whopper and Trump, I think of all the bald-faced lies he's told. That's a good point, John. Yeah. I thought of a malted milk ball. You thought of the lying liars who lie. That's funny. It is very warm today, Liz, and we have the snow melt melting as we speak. We have the snow in the Sierra melting as we speak, and the risk of floods on the way. Always on my phone while I'm cleaning buses. Love it. Happy worker is a good worker. Thanks, Floyd's Key. What politician doesn't lie? Well, there's a little lie, and then there's a whopper of a lie. And I think the thing about Trump is someone did the research. I don't know the number of lies that he was found to have told, but someone fact checked all the things he said while president, and the number of lies is astronomical. And we're not talking like I misspoke, I made a mistake, I came back and corrected myself. We're talking lie after lie after lie, many times the same lie, doubling down, tripling down, pushing the lies, doing it on purpose. Yeah. Nick says, trolls, that's okay. You're pretty good with the band hammer. I am. I can handle myself, you know, with kindness and a gentle glove to show the door. We can do it. Nevin says, I'm up there, but I'm sharper and better than some youngsters. Nice. I think this might be a solution you're offering to our United States of Guns problem. Higher taxes on ammunition. I'm for whatever, Liz, honestly. I think a lot of people, and this is interesting, I think a lot of people can make their own ammunition. I think that's a possibility. I know some gun owners that do that. Busting ghost gun rings helps a lot. Yeah, I agree. Very scary driving through that area. I think you're talking about the East Bay, that 580, 880 interchange. Yeah. Mindy says, do the victims of shootings sue the manufacturer of guns or the government? I think there's a case right now where some of the victims are suing a gun manufacturer. I don't think a lot of people end up suing anybody. Cars that are bulletproof in the future, right? You've got your bulletproof electric vehicle. There's a reason to buy a new car and, in the future, not save your gas guzzler. A bulletproof vehicle. At least then you can ride around or, ride around, one, with the thought that you're not spewing toxic chemicals into the air. And two, ride around with the thought that your kid in the car seat isn't going to get hit by a stray bullet. Chris says they stopped freeway shootings in Los Angeles in the 90s by getting the prison gangs to kill the shooters in prison. I don't know if that's true. And I certainly wouldn't advocate killing anyone. Wes, it says it's so against people's rights, but I wish if someone knew that a person had an illegal gun, they could turn them in anonymously for a reward, but that would break so many laws. I don't know. I don't think it would. Because if you know that someone is breaking the law and report it, why is that against the law? I don't think it is. I mean, some could argue, especially if you're in law enforcement, that you're duty bound to report it anytime someone breaks the law. So if you knew someone had an illegal weapon and you reported it, you think that would break laws? I mean, maybe requiring them to do it would break laws, and that may be what you mean. But I think just reporting someone that has an illegal weapon, not so much. Not against the law. You could do that. Vilma says, if you ever get John Rothman on, it would be nice to see him take calls. He's a master at the phone call. It's true. He's a master at a lot of things. And I think he will be back on. He's on vacation right now. He's on a 2-week vacation. If there were a viable Democratic alternative to Biden, there would be no support for him running again. Okay. We don't have to change the Second Amendment rights, Vilma. We all have to modify it. It can be done. Well, the word change and modify are kind of interchangeable in my mind. So when you say we can modify it, that is changing it, right? What you're saying is don't chuck it out completely. Work with what we had and make little tweaks, but that to me is changing it. What you mean is we don't have to kill it. We don't have to get rid of it completely. We can change it and alter it and amend it. It's the whole point, right? January 6th, Kim, you've got 16th stuck in your head. True that. I've been corrected twice. My bad. I'm sorry. I need to take the mental acuity test. Randy says, look at the polls of Dems. There's not a majority of support among Democrats for Biden to run again. Well, he's running again. He beat Trump last time. Hope he can do it again. No, yeah, I know. It is the 6th and not the 16th. Yes, I got it. Message received. My bad. I'm sorry. Sorry, I screwed that up. I keep saying it. Oh my God, you guys are killing me. Yes, I know I did it wrong. It's like you're Mark Thompson. It is January 6th, the 6th. It is not the 16th. Trump is a cartoon character. Yeah, like a caricature of a person. Lori says, I guess I just want to see more of a spread of ages in elected officials. The average age is, I think, over 60. Let's see a bigger distribution of ages. That's good. Neman, I know. You guys, you're killing me softly. I'm sorry I made the mistake. 16th, tried to destroy democracy. Who cares about the date? You know what happened? Why, if you're interested in my mental break there, I almost said earlier when I was referring to January 6th, I almost said September 11th. And then I'm like, no, not 11th, 16th. This is how it went. No. Different date in history, January 6th. Yeah, Jim says the echoes because you have 2 streams going. Pause the current video and use the link on the StreamYard video to talk. That's right. Lori says Roosevelt, Kennedy, though young, all had people covering for their health issues. Let all candidates have physical and psychological tests. There should be no reason to avoid it if there is absolutely nothing wrong. Yeah, I got the correction. Thank you. Joe Box and the fellas will take care of those trolls. Thank you, Floydski. I can always count on Joe Box, who, by the way, never got his banner. And it kills me. Liz says there was one man who always got Pat Thurston and then she'd have to cut him off. Yeah, that was the guy that always said John Lennon's killer guy, Stephen Lightfoot or whatever his name was. Marilyn says, so cool. We can hear callers. James, they're asking for you to play music for us next time. I need an internet orange phone. You need an internet phone, Angel. Okay. What are you and Nikki using? It's called StreamYard is what we're using. It's Kim, I swear to you, if you weren't my friend, no more cocktails for you. It's the 6th. Now the apology tour. My bad. I'm sorry. I know. Oh my God. Yet I know how much I've lost in mental acuity. Not saying I'm incompetent, you're not. Just need more time and quiet to accomplish the mental tasks. Very disturbing to be aware of your own decline. Also, you gain patience with age as well. Sometimes I've known people who, the older they get, the meaner they get. Have you ever noticed that? Like all of a sudden, that whole filter is gone. That politeness is just gone. I have a very good friend who used to take her grandmother to the doctor, and her grandmother would just say the rudest things to the receptionist, like, "You're fat, you need to go exercise," like just things that she never would have said, but she just lost this kind of yeah, if I can't know how to say it any other way than filter. Lost the filter that made her polite in her younger years, and she just didn't care anymore. She was like, I'm just gonna say what I'm gonna say when I want to say it. Too young and stupid equals cannot be president until 35, so no worries there. Yeah, we can change the hours of the show. We talked about pre-recording it as well, but then we couldn't have live chat, and we really like that atmosphere and the way that the community is together. So we don't want that to go away. So I think we're going to try to keep it live, um, and at a time that works for everyone. So, you know, Liz says my neighbor's 94 and still drives a red pickup truck and a red Corvette, and he's super sharp. Yep, one size doesn't fit all. You just don't know. And so it's just not fair until you have people, maybe as Jimbo was saying earlier, take the test. Leon, my dad is 93 and too busy to come visit. Really? I like to have him over as much as possible. He still walks a mile every other day and is invoked in intellectual pursuits. He's a retired drama teacher. Well, isn't that cool? I love it. Yeah, and no one should tell your dad that he can't do something because of his age. Mm-mm. Wasn't it former President Bush the first that in his 90s did a skydive? Shouldn't be limited by your age. In the conversation about ageism in candidates, I wonder how many young people, 20 to 30-ish, would like to go into public service as a candidate for any office? Is the mix of idealism and knowledge there? Writes Flo. I've seen more people becoming candidates. I saw it right after Hillary Clinton lost her election when she called for more women to hold local office. And all of a sudden, at least in my community, it seemed like younger women were like, I can do that. I can heed that call. I don't know. Yeah, Square, feel free to post the link. If you have it, post it. Absolutely. Kim says it was like 36,000 lies. I thought it was more like in the 500,000 range, but maybe. GOPs are professionals at the Whopper. Floyd says it was a Big Mac of a lie. And Stars writes, post the link. I came in late. I don't see the link scrolling up. It looks like we're going to get some help with that link being posted. So absolutely. Yeah. And call and talk to me. I'd love to meet you. Extremely expensive bullet. Tax them 30% like weed. Maybe that's the answer. Dave says, yeah, I reload my own shotgun shells. See, I knew it was, you could do that. And so that's not a foolproof thing. And if you tax it and make it that expensive, then perhaps, that it's not going to work. But Dave writes, it's cheaper that way. The cost goes down every time that you reuse that shell. You just have to know how to do it and have the little machine or whatever it is to do it. Why not? Writes Heather. You can tattle on someone for having an abortion in Texas. Why not tattle on them for having a gun, a legal weapon? Yeah, I think it's the forcing. But they're, like you say, they're forcing people to go against others in Texas. So you got a point, Heather. I turned in a 32 caliber gun for a computer back in the late 90s. Never been fired. Mom bought it for a long road trip with us kids. Good. Let's hope it was melted down and that it was never resold or, you know, put back into a community to do harm. Leon says you'll have to keep that electric vehicle for 8 years or 125,000 miles to break even on their intensive upfront mining and production footprint. I tend to, there's some people that kind of trade out cars every couple years. I'm more of a drive it into the ground girl. Like my cars are right now, one car I bought in 2009, we call it the baby car. That's an old car, right? By many people's standards. And it is in perfect mechanical condition. It got to the point where the paint started to peel, and I was a little embarrassed in the pickup line at school. So we repainted it because we didn't want a car payment. And so I'm driving that same car that I got when I first had kids that fits everybody and their friends, and I drive it on field trips and whatever, and it's great. So I would hit 125,000 miles or 8 years. Absolutely. Yeah. Talking about the test says the right to bear arms includes every kind of weapon, but laws prevent us from buying artillery pieces and tanks. Does it though? I mean, maybe the way the Constitution's been interpreted, but the words I don't think include every kind of weapon, including assault weapons. That's the way a judge may have interpreted it, but I think a lot of people disagree. Thank you for the contribution, Luis. $4.99. Appreciate it. All these mass shootings are almost all committed by legally purchased guns. Vegas, Sandy Hook, false sense of security equals just avoid certain areas. Some are legally purchased. Some were supposed to be locked up and accessed by the wrong people that had mental issues. So, yeah, I mean, I think you have to protect yourself, and one of the ways you can do that is to avoid those areas. Dave says the Second Amendment has to be altered by another amendment. It's the only way. Otherwise, any changes to be made will be at the state level. Oh, am I reading old text? I'm sorry. I'm afraid I'll skip the good ones, though, if I scroll down. Those are old texts. All right. I hear what you're saying. The problem is I can't read them fast enough and respond, and then I get back in the list, and so, John says, I think what stops gun legislation being passed are those people who think gun owners are evil, and those who think the people who want more gun control are trying to overtake everyone's guns away, the fringes. Yeah. It isn't a problem of interpretation of the Second Amendment. Doesn't it apply to a militia? And I don't understand why or how it protects the unstable, angry people who want to destroy. That's from Greta. Thank you for writing, Greta. I would think it's a problem of the interpretation of the Second Amendment, because show me where the shooter in Uvalde was a member of a militia, or show me where the shooter of Sandy Hook was a member of a militia. What is that? Are we just ignoring those words? I don't know. Oh, you guys are so nice. Thank you very much for being here, Grady. I really like it. Yeah. And see, now I've scrolled so far that I feel like I missed all the comments that you guys had to take. Gary D writes, even the military has a competency test for all recruits. There should be more tests and laws and verification that someone's able mentally and physically to have a gun. Yeah. So, interesting conversation. I'll bring up a new topic that we can talk about. And I wonder, let's see if anything, I'm trying to see if any news just broke, because I'm all for breaking news, right? Let's see. Oh, yeah. No, the headline still hasn't changed. Disney sues DeSantis and the oversight board. This case is really interesting, and I did put it in the headline for the show, and I wanted to talk about it, so I'm glad I looked it up. But yeah, Disney did this thing before DeSantis took the board over, and they passed the Disney board, the one that was friendly, Walt Disney World friendly board, passed this law that basically stripped any power away from an incoming DeSantis controlled board. And so the DeSantis board tried to invalidate this binding law from the Disney board. And now the Disney is suing, saying you can't do that. That's against the rules. The lawsuit filed in federal court minutes after the board appointed by DeSantis to oversee Disney's special taxing district sought to get its power back from the entertainment giant, voting to invalidate an agreement struck between Disney and the previous board, the Disney Friendly Board, in February, just before that board was dissolved. What they created, says the chairman of the DeSantis-picked Central Florida Tourism Oversight District Board, what they created is an absolute mess. It will not work. Wednesday's moves are the latest escalation in the fight between DeSantis and Disney as DeSantis moves toward a 2024 presidential bid. So it'll be interesting to see in court what happens with DeSantis and this board and who comes out victorious. I tend to think that the Disney lawyers really knew what they were doing. That the Disney lawyers are, smart enough not to file suit and waste a bunch of money if they don't have the leg up on this case. And DeSantis will be the one lost in court. Very interesting. If you have a comment on what's going on there, I will say to my daughter asking a question, 4 o'clock.
Okay,
yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I think it's interesting. Let's see if you have anything to say about that. See, sometimes also I'm talking, but then it takes you guys a while for the comments to kick in. So yeah, see what you have to say. Imagine DeSantis getting the nomination and running on a platform of banning Black studies nationally, as he did in Florida. And I don't doubt that. I mean, is there any reason to doubt that the things that were important to him in Florida wouldn't be important to him on the national stage? Like forbidding all schools, putting a Department of Education together with new rules about, what teachers can and can't talk about here in California. Liz says he's not going to be president. No nationwide appeal. From your lips to God's ears. Oh, RJ, I'd like to call in, but I'm way too fond of words that rhyme with truck. Yeah, I don't want you to say the rhyming words. No. Because you know what happens if you do? I think we have to put some type of label on the show that says it contains content not suitable for children. And then when we do that, there's some type of thing that happens where you're knocked down so your show isn't as spread around in the algorithm thing. So that's why and also, you know what? We have former Station X standards. So we're trying to keep it the way it was. And if we didn't have it there, we try not to have it here. Sometimes we slip up and there's nobody with a dump button like there was on Station X. RJ, call in anyway. I know you can control yourself. I know it. RJ, the phone angel will beep you. There is no phone angel. I need Kim Schaffer to come and be my phone angel is what I need. Nobody without millions gets to wait out an appeal. I'm not sure what you're talking about regarding that. Yeah. M. Oak, maybe talk about new ideas to store water, like the time people wanted to ship water from Alaska in giant bags. That seems interesting, doesn't it? Yeah, we talked a little bit about storing water yesterday, honestly. Oh yeah, I'm in. Just let me know. Yeah, might need to. But yeah, the storage of water gets me so frustrated that we haven't taken steps to have that infrastructure yet is so frustrating. And then you see that we get this nice stormy year and all this water is just going to be dumped. And for what? And then the next couple years could be dry and we have nothing again. And then we're all worried about, watering lawns everything. It's frustrating. Um, I don't know if you saw this, and I don't know a lot about this this automaker. It's called Stellantis, and they're reportedly looking to cut costs by offering buyout packages to their workers. They want to cut their blue collar workforce by 3 to 5,000 employees. They'll also look for a reduction in white collar workers. One plan to offer $50,000 for workers hired before 2007. That's a nice goodbye package, but yeah, I so many layoffs. Frustrating. I don't know if this is going to make a big difference in the world or if it's just one of those things you do in the name of diplomacy. The United States and South Korea reaching an agreement regarding nuclear weapons due to concerns over North Korea. The Washington Declaration is what they're calling it. The Washington Declaration will give South Korea more say and strategy involving nuclear weapons in any conflict with North Korea. South Korea has signed not to pursue its own nuclear program as part of this deal. When you are right next door to North Korea, I mean, what good does it do? Because your whole area is gonna be blown to bits. I don't know what your thought is over this new Washington Declaration, an agreement between the United States and South Korea regarding nuclear weapons, what it means for that region, and whether or not it's really gonna stop North Korea from all the vitriol and the testing and anything else possible. Luis loves the breakout call segments. I love it. I love that you guys love that. Well, we're trying it. We'll see how it pans out, right? Yeah. I don't know. What do you think about that? Korea, the Washington, what did I say? The Washington Declaration. Is that a success for the Biden administration to make this diplomatic deal with South Korea, giving them more say and strategy involving any nuclear weapons should there be a conflict with North Korea in exchange for them not pursuing their own nuclear program? I mean, that's a big deal. You don't want anyone to pursue a nuclear program. Well, the fewer nukes we have in the world, the better. But I don't necessarily know that it does anything to prevent conflict with North Korea. Just my take on it. Maybe there's more to it that I don't get, though. Nick says this deal with South Korea reminds me of a similar deal we made with Ukraine. Look what happened there. Lori agrees. Look how well that worked for Ukraine. Yeah. Uh, I tend to think it's a bit of fluff, but again, if it rids the world of some nuclear weapons, you know, okay. Yeah. Uh, just regarding nuclear, but in a whole different context, Leon writing the Diablo Canyon has a desalination plant, which is more than 50% cheaper than using fossil fuels. The plant is much safer than the thrust fault quake in Japan's older designs. Diablo Canyon was going to be closed. It was marked for closure. Everyone had agreed it was going to be shut down because it's bad for the environment. But because we're struggling with power, because we don't have as much, going to the grid as we need, now its life has been extended. I don't necessarily think that's a good thing. Regarding our discussion on Disney, Vilma says it's time to move Disney. It would kill a lot of the tourist revenue in the state of Florida. What would DeSantis do then? Jim says to Vilma, just closing Disney World and moving those jobs back to California, reversing the forced move of a few years ago to Florida. At least that. I don't know. I mean, I think that having a Disney theme park in Florida really serves that whole region of the United States. It's expensive to fly completely across the country. And so you have a lot of people that love to go to Walt Disney World. And I was thinking about where else they could put it in the that half of the United States. And I can't think of another state that has that type of weather. You have Southern California, weather's usually nice, sunny. That's why they put it there. It's a perfect spot, right? Florida, perfect spot. Nice, sunny. I mean, you've got the occasional hurricane roaring through, but overall, the weather's going to be pretty good. Where else could they put it? On the eastern seaboard or on the East Coast or the Midwest? I don't know where you put another Disney theme park. And I also would like to think that Disney can outlast a DeSantis governorship, right? I mean, they've been there longer than DeSantis as far as his term in office, and so all they have to do is wait him out. He'll go away, and hopefully they'll get somebody in there that's a little more Disney friendly. They get their board back, they get everything they back that they want, right? They just have to wait this guy out. That's all. I think it would cost. I mean, it would be a nice truck you, to use RJ's terminology, to DeSantis if they picked up and left and said, "Okay, you want to mistreat us that way? We're out. We're outie." And how does that look for DeSantis? Is he then the big winner that got Disney to leave? No. He's the big loser that just cost a state quadrillions of jobs. But he probably knows that it's way too expensive for them to leave and way too lucrative for them to stay, even if there's political upheaval at this very moment. They're smart enough to know at Disney that all they need to do really is to wait him out and they can get right past him. And stars I love to be agreed with, Disney World serves the East Side and also tourists from Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Yeah. I worked at Disney World in 1985. Fantastic college job. Ron Cook, that sounds really fun. Really fun. The biggest population is east of the Mississippi. Jim says, Chris says it was a miracle to buy the land to make Disney World. Jim writes, Disney World alternate would be Atlanta, which has a super international airport and no snow usually. Atlanta. What about I mean, is it sunny in Atlanta? Because I don't know the weather there like I know the weather in Florida. I mean, I think of Florida as a tropical climate. I think of Southern California as not completely tropical, but kind of that way. Certainly when you get to San Diego, it's very tropical. So I don't know. Liz writes, Disney will probably make it very unpleasant for DeSantis until his term ends. As well they should. I like it. Give him a little trouble. I think he thinks it looks DeSantis that it looks like, oh, he's standing up to Disney. He's standing up to the big corporation, the corporation that's woke, the corporation that, realizes that we treat people equally, whether they're gay or trans or whoever. We treat people like people. Apparently that's a problem for DeSantis. So he's got to stand up to that. And he probably thinks he looks like a big man when he doesn't. He looks silly. Mickey for president. I'd rather have truth, Mindy. I would rather have Mickey Mouse for president than Donald Trump. I'm not even kidding you. Absolutely. Chris says they could never build a Disney World in this day. I think they could. They've got a lot of money to do that with, and they've done it in other countries as well. So I think so. Moving all the amusement rides would be very costly. Well, and all the hotels that are there and all the restaurant, I mean, the whole thing. And it's not like Disneyland in Anaheim where there's two parks. They have Disneyland and California Adventure. I forget. I know you guys probably know this, but I think there's like 5 or 6 parks in Disney World. They've got a zoo. They've got like a water park. They've got all these different parks. It's a much bigger situation than Disneyland. It's huge. Well, which is why they call it Disney World instead of Disneyland, right? Luis says, I'm sure Atlanta, Georgia, and Marjorie Taylor Greene would totally embrace Disney and their spirit of inclusion. And here we got MTG speaking out on Disney. What else? DeSantis just looks so stupid fighting with Disney. I think that's true. But maybe he does it to take attention away, well, to feel like a big man, but also to take attention away from all the other things that he's doing that are changing things for people in the state of Florida. I don't know. Um, Optics. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think Disney's moving away from Florida anytime soon. I think they'll wait him out. He'll go. He's just one in a line of people. He just gave them a little more trouble than everybody else. They know. That's completely fine. They're not going anywhere. I mean, I think they have too big of a thing. They've poured in too much money there. They've done too much there that I highly doubt that they will be giving up that space. Here's a Bay Area story for you. There is a Bay Area city requesting unmanned drones tackle illegal sideshows. I'd love to know what you think about this. So click that link and come on in and talk about it. One Bay Area city is considering fighting dangerous illegal sideshows from the air. Supervisor Raphael Mandelman is asking the city to create San Francisco to create a new policy that would allow unmanned drones to fly above sideshows. As dangerous as sideshows can be, officers often have to decide if stepping in and breaking one up would be more dangerous than just letting it go. So the San Francisco Police Department would use these unmanned drones to identify the vehicles involved in sideshows, and those vehicles would be located later and then impounded. So instead of having all the cops rush to the scene, it's kind of like when you get a ticket when the helicopter is over or the fixed wing plane is over and they clock your speed and you get the ticket later, right? At this point, it would be, maybe they wouldn't stop it. Maybe the cops wouldn't rush to the scene. They just have the drone overhead and they're like, and I'll take your car, and I'll take your car, and I'll take your car. That's it. When they don't intervene, the police department currently writes down the plates of cars involved. In 2022, San Francisco Police Department traffic enforcement began impounding vehicles that were able to be identified. Sideshows have been problematic in San Francisco. One happened just this week, where 100 motorcyclists illegally conducted a sideshow right on the Bay Bridge, completely stopped traffic. So what do you think about the use of drones technology to identify all these vehicles? Some of them don't have plates. They have dealers' plates just for the sideshow or whatever. What do you think about using drone technology to get in the way of these sideshows? You've got to do something, I think. Jim says drones equals how will they tag the cars? Shoot some tracer dart? No, but they take pictures and they get the license plate or they get the identifying marks. I guess in some cases, you could even argue the drone could follow that car right home, the troublemaking car, and get license plates of all the other ones involved. Yeah. Impound and crush the cars. I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can just crush them. You can take them away for a while, make people pay hefty, hefty fines, make it not so comfortable for people to want to, if you got your car taken away and you had to pay, I don't know, pick a fine, $3,000 plus another $1,000 to get your car back, if you even wanted it back at that price, the next time you're thinking about going to do a sideshow would make you think twice, right? When authorities increased the fines for drunk driving and the penalties, as far as, the legal penalties and how much you would have to pay and how much your insurance would go up, I think that's when people really took notice and thought, oh, God, I can't afford that ticket. Calvin. Hi, Calvin. The problem is many of those cars are using fake plates or paper plates. The cops have to crack down on these cars driving every day without any consequences. Yeah. Vilma has a good idea about Disney. Vilma, this is tricky. Disney could close its doors for a period of time and wait out DeSantis. Problem with doing that, though, is that then they don't have the backs of their workers, right? I mean, if you check out for a period of time until his term is up, you run the risk of losing good people because, you can't pay all those people just to sit out for however many years. So I think you have to think about your staffers and your workers. Floyd's key. 10,000 at least, what, $10,000 to get your car back? Yeah. Call in link. I hope you posted it. I haven't seen it come through. From SF Tesla, I get the idea that intersection and red light cameras are dated with what little drone could do. I don't know what I don't really understand. Intersections and red light cameras are dated. What could a drone do? I mean, I think you could, even if it had paper plates, that drone could follow you home. And the thing about a drone is they're sneaky enough, or can be sneaky, especially at night when most sideshows happen, that you might not know you're being followed home by a drone. Maybe it's a great way to do it. They just shoot out the drones. Unless they didn't know they were there, but I guess maybe if you did, then they would. LA used to crush them. It's been done. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, Disney doesn't want to close their locations ever again after having to close so long during COVID. I think that's true. And yes, it's true that DeSantis got married at Disney World. Yeah. He once used to love it. Now he doesn't love it. Not so much anymore. All right. Well, it has been a great experience and a great test to have 2 callers to the show today. That was exciting. I loved it. So maybe we'll do it again sometime. I'll try to talk Nikki into doing it again tomorrow. Nikki is back tomorrow. Very excited to have her back. I got this. I saw, in, as Mark calls it, an after hours training. Someone said something bad about just being me and not Nikki here. So I was kind of feeling like, oh God, should I even do the show? But I want to keep the show going. It's really important to both of us. So I'm excited to have Nikki back tomorrow. And hopefully you guys are too. And it'll be good. It'll be really good. Please, if you can, click the thumbs up button. If you haven't done it yet, I would appreciate you doing it. You know the website. It is thenikkimadoroshow.com. And if you don't know how to find us on the podcast, you have some links there. All major podcast platforms we are on. So you can do that. Calvin, you're so kind. Thank you so much for the $20. I appreciate it. Very nice of you to do that. Keep helping us keep the show going. And I wish that you would have called in today, because I would have loved to have met you and talked to you. So thank you for that. Some other people to thank. I tried to do it as we went along, but I'd like to do it now again. Flo, for the $9.99. Thank you very much for being part of this conversation. Gary D for $9.99. Thank you so much. Beth Farmer, not a pittance, because everything helps. And I'm so grateful for your $19.99. And Wes, I'm grateful for your $5 as well. So thank you for helping us keep this show going. And I appreciate you being part of the conversation. To Jimbo and James, who took the time to call in and talk about things. So grateful to you for making that work. You are part of the Nikki Maduro Show history. I'm Kim McAllister. Let us end it like we always do. Here's Jacob.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.